Night School is directed by Malcolm D. Lee, and this film follows a very charismatic salesman who winds up losing his job. But in order to find a replacement job, he must go back to his high school and earn his GED, seeing how he dropped out of high school the first time around. In the past, Malcolm D. Lee was a director that had never been on my radar, but that is until last year when he released the highest grossing comedy of 2017 with Girls Trip. I missed this one when it was in theaters, and it wasn't until I heard pretty much everybody throwing some pretty high praise that film's way that I thought that I would check it out when it was released on DVD. And after watching that film, personally, I didn't care for it that much. However, I will agree that one of the biggest standouts of that film was Tiffany Haddish. I think the most basic observation that you could make about this movie is one that you'll probably hear a lot in other reviews that you'll watch, and that is that the idea of this film is not something that's too original. This movie bears a lot of resemblance to films like Billy Madison. So in order for this movie to really impress me, I guess I was either hoping it would be exceptionally funny or have a new perspective on this frankly kind of tired trope. This movie got a few chuckles out of me. Really nothing more than that, but I think more importantly, I found this film to be pretty uninspired and rather irritating, if I'm being honest. I've expressed my thoughts on Kevin Hart's filmography before, and if you've watched my reviews of his films before, you would know that I think his filmography is rather hit and miss. And as I said, I really like Tiffany Haddish, and I'm excited to see her career explode as a result of films like Girls Trip. But in the case of Night School, I just didn't think the two of them really worked well in this film at all. It's strange, you think the two of them would be a perfect fit, but there's just something missing. A similar style of humor that was implemented in Girls Trip was also utilized in this film, and it didn't really work for myself in this case either. Now, I saw this film at an advanced screening, and the audience was full. There was not one empty seat in the entire theater, and for the most part, people were cracking up throughout this whole movie. Unfortunately, I can't say the same for myself, but I guess the point that I'm trying to make is I didn't find this film funny, but there was a lot of people in my theater that did. So if you're a fan of Tiffany Haddish or a fan of Kevin Hart, or you loved Girls Trip, then you might also like this film as well. But for myself, I felt like this film didn't know when to move on. Some of these jokes go on for quite some time, and I think that that's where this movie started to actually kind of irritate me. I was hoping to kind of keep the ball rolling, but the film kept insisting on fixating on these jokes that I didn't find to be that funny in the first place, so it started to wear thin almost immediately. And there's also some small details in this film, like something is brought up and not referenced to later, or the fact that there are multiple instances where the dubbing on a section of dialogue does not match the person's mouth. And every time it happened, I was so confused as to why the editor didn't cut to somebody else. Why would they stay on the same person's face if their words do not match their mouth? I'm willing to let it go if it happens 1 or 2 times, but it happens multiple times throughout this movie. I think the biggest complaint that I have with Night School is the fact that its narrative is very generic and very predictable. I would have liked for this film to perhaps offer something interesting to say about how public education has changed in 20 years, something more than just what is presented here. And the film didn't really have anything to say about our protagonist, who doesn't seem to be putting forth any effort into his schoolwork. In fact, there's a montage towards the end of this film that I found to be completely useless. This film attempts to offer this message about taking shortcuts and how hard work and determination will eventually pay off. However, I never felt that it was really that fully realized. Overall, I found Night School to be unfunny and more oftentimes than not rather irritating. There are moments in the film that come off as pretty lazy, whether it be because of the editing, some of the jokes, or the narrative as a whole. As I've said, if you've enjoyed previous works from the people involved in this film, then there's a good chance you might also like this movie, but for myself, I didn't think that it worked really on any level. So did you guys see Night School? What did you think about it? Leave your thoughts and opinions down below. And as always, guys, thank you so much for watching today. I hope you liked today's video. And if you did, you can click on the link down below and subscribe to my channel to see more movie reviews and movie related things. Again, thank you so much for watching, and see you next time.